So how you doing today?
Doing pretty well.
I see
Had a
you're,
great week.
I see you're an FC Barca fan.
Actually, not.
Oh, really?
This, yeah, a shirt someone gave to me as a gift. I'm
Okay.
actually a fan of Manchester United.
Oh, really? Nah. You can't be you. But let's just leave that on the side for now. So tell us about Kuby Uyanga. Who's Kuby Uyanga?
Hey. Kuby Uyanga is a communications consultant and a writer. I fell in love with communications. I started out as a writer, discovered speaking, and it so happens that I've had experience in marketing communications and also in the film and television industry, mostly as a screenwriter. So it turns out that even though I trained as a civil engineer, had my early career in civil engineering, I of course more or less transitioned into communications, and that's what I do. And as a person, very interested in how people encode messages to people and how those messages get to other people and influence those other people. So in all, I'd say communication, that's my thing.
That's awesome. Because one thing I know, from your profile, you've been a civil engineer and then now you're a filmmaker and you've been an ardent Toastmaster. And I'm sure that if any Toastmaster is watching this video, they know who you are, especially people from your club or people from my club, people that have read your profile. But what if someone from your Toastmaster club is watching this video right now, at this very moment, and you want to tell them something they don't know about you, even though they've known you for maybe 5, 10, 15 years, but there's this thing about you that they don't know, what would that be?
That's a tough one because there are really no parts of me that I go an extra mile to hide. Most of the things I do are out in the open. So what would that be? Maybe that an avid swimmer. I think that's something that might come as a surprise to some people. Yes.
Interesting. So when it comes to communication, you said you're very peculiar about how communication is conveyed and received. What's the thing that made you become so keen, so interested in the way communication is being conveyed and being received?
Okay. Now, I think that question that you've posed has sent me on a journey back into the past. And I would think that where it all started came out of my relationship with my father. He's a man that had a different communication style to my own, and in those early formative years, I found it difficult to get to him, and I found it that for some reason it was difficult for him to understand me. And as a young boy who was very much interested in getting the approval of his dad and did not get this because of the communication wasn't efficient, I think that could have been the earliest seed or catalyst that drove my interest to be very interested in discovering and practicing better and progressively improving interpersonal communication.
You've been a Toastmaster for quite some time now. I would just like you to share your improvement journey with us and how Toastmaster has really helped you and why you think people out there watching this video should consider looking into what a Toastmaster International Club can offer them as far as improving your communication skills is concerned?
Oh, wow. Well, I'll have to be held at some point because this is a subject that when I start commenting on it, I can go on and on because the concatenation of benefits that Toastmasters membership offers is almost endless. I started out a pretty reserved but shy boy who wouldn't volunteer to speak in public anywhere, no matter what was offered as a prize. And even though as I grew older, I lost the shyness, but I was still reserved. I rarely spoke in public. So sometime in 2013, I decided to join Toastmasters after I read and saw a mention of it in a book. And I walked into a Toastmasters club in Abuja. And it so happened that I had to leave Abuja after I had given just about 3 of the projects, the first 3 projects in the Competent Communication Manual. And I moved to a city, Uyo, in Akwa Ibom State in Nigeria here, which had no Toastmasters club. And because I had enjoyed the little growth that I had registered in giving those first 3 speeches. But, okay, there's no Toastmasters club here. But I joined the one that I joined in Abuja because someone started it. How about I start one? And that's how I went about starting a Toastmasters club when I was pretty much a neophyte in the business. But it gave me a lot of growth early on because I had to learn all the skills that were necessary to bring people together and share the vision and work together to get Uyo Premier Speakers Toastmasters chartered, and the club is still running. And eventually I moved to Lagos and joined Merit Toastmasters, and the benefits have been numerous in terms of my interpersonal communication skills, in terms of my public presentation skills, leadership ability, from how I was from before I joined Toastmasters, and now that I have been in Toastmasters and been active in the program for about 8 years now, the difference can be as comparing night and day. It's tremendous. So I would recommend Toastmasters to anybody who is interested in building or achieving personal success by building their relationship skills, communication skills, and their ability to work in teams as members or as leaders.
Awesome response out there. Toastmaster is not all about just communication. It's also about leadership and networking as well. So how has the leadership improvement aspect of Toastmaster, because the moment you join the Toastmaster club, you want to engage yourself, you want to, take on roles, you want to do so many things. So how has that really worked for you as a person, or how can it really help people out there? Okay, let me put it this way. What advice would you give a fresher, someone that's new, that's really joined a Toastmaster club? What advice would you give them as far as, growing in the club, as far as growing as a Toastmaster is concerned?
Okay, what I would say is this. The truth is that all public speaking, or would I say, in this case, immersing yourself in the Toastmasters program, which is about coming out to speak in public, coming out to lead people, anything that brings you out in public and involves public scrutiny is risky, because there is always that risk that you might not perform as well as you would want to. And there's a risk of embarrassment and the like. But then it's said that if you do not risk, you do not grow. And if you cannot grow, you cannot be happy. And in life that we've come to see in this world, if you cannot be happy, what else is there? So you will feel the butterflies, you'll feel the anxiety when you have to think about putting together your icebreader. That first speech that you come out in front of other club members to share about yourself, there will be that anxiety, those jitters and nerves, but then it is only through those somewhat uncomfortable feelings that you come ahead and become more confident. And as you give more speeches, you will become more confident because your presentation skills will be improving, and also your own personal confidence will improve likewise. And also in dealing with other Toastmasters in your members of your club and other clubs, you get to learn how to manage people, how to relate with people, because people are different. People have different personalities and styles. And with active participation in Toastmasters, you learn through practice over time the different techniques of dealing with people to obtain the results that benefits everybody. So that's what I'll say on that.
You nailed on so many important concepts: active participation, leading people, managing people, working with people you don't know. Those are like key things that a lot of people can learn from being a Toastmaster that a lot of people don't even know. People just think, oh, when they come to Toastmaster, they just come in there to learn how to speak. It really goes beyond that. And I think you nailed it appropriately. Have you been familiar with TED Talk?
Well, I know about TED, and I have been involved with TEDx Ikeja, the independently organized TED event. I served as director of content for TEDx Ikeja for 3 years. So
that's a very good thing. So this next question is just perfect for you, because this is a question people always ask me. What's the difference between Toastmaster and TED Talk? They're like, why not just go for TED Talk? Because there's so many TED Talk videos out there and they got like millions of views, and TED Talk speakers tend to be someone that has like a social message tied, along with their speeches. So you have been in both. You know about TED Talk and you know about Toastmasters. So what do you think would be like the main differences or the variation between speaking in a Toastmaster platform and speaking on a TED Talk platform?
Okay, I mean, there are several differences. So, TED, technology, entertainment, and design, and Toastmasters. But I think the basic difference in both would be that in TED, the focus is on the ideas shared. And in Toastmasters, the focus is on the development of the individual who's sharing the ideas. The focus isn't on the idea of the individual. Because in TED the mission of TED is to identify people with innovative ideas that can spark fresh conversations and catalyze innovation in the world, right? And they give them a stage to share these ideas. While Toastmasters is about preparing the individual for that day that they get the stage to share their big ideas. So that would be the fundamental difference in both. And maybe to add a little bit of extra detail is the fact that a lot of the time, a TED Talk is more or less a live event, and you don't have the luxury of the opportunity of making a mistake out there. You want to give the best because you don't have that luxury. But in a Toastmasters setting, there is this positive, friendly, mutually supportive environment where everybody is rooting for you and giving you that positive aura and support to make your mistakes amongst friends and get evaluated, and then of course given an opportunity to do better next time. So those are some of the differences.
I think no one could have said it any better than that, because I've always had my own preconceived idea about what TED Talk is all about and what Toastmaster has been. But the way you just laid it down just perfectly says the differences, and I hope someone picks that up and uses it to their own advantage. If you all don't know, Kuby is going to be the guest speaker at our upcoming Toastmaster Toast of the Bronx anniversary, 19th anniversary celebration, and we are more than excited to have you to come be our guest speaker, and I know that you are also excited to be our guest speaker on that very day. But tell me exactly what you're feeling right now and what you want people coming for that event, what you want them to look forward to.
Oh, well, what am I feeling right now? I'm quite excited I would say Toast of the Bronx is my American Toastmasters home, because I've loved my time in the meetings that I've attended with you and forged connections with some of the members out there. So I feel quite elated and honored and excited ahead of the 29th, when we're going to have the 19th anniversary of TOB. And for everyone coming over, I'll just say in one phrase, expect a grand time, because come on, we have Toastmaster Dapo Ibrahim as chairman of the planning committee. Who else could do a better job of putting together a ceremony for everyone? And of course, be prepared to be inspired too, and to take the plunge to make yourself a better communicator, a better leader, and of course, a more fulfilled person.
Amazing. So if there's a word that you want to give us out there, or do you have like a favorite quote that you would like to share with the audience to just keep them inspired and look towards the event, the anniversary event that in which you'll be the next guest speaker?
Well, I don't have a favorite quote, but I have a factual quote. We see Paul J. Meyer is a gentleman who lived between the 9th of May 1928 until the 28th of October 2009, and he's considered to be the pioneer of the self-development industry. He had this very simple phrase to say, and it is that communication, that's human connection. It is the key to personal and career success. And I'd like to leave you with that, because it's the facts. And the fact that he clarified communication by putting in that human connection makes it very profound for me, because in a nutshell, to me, that is what communication is. No matter how high-falutin the concepts of whatever communication channel, as long as the human connection from one human to another has been successfully made, then communication has been achieved. And that has been identified as the key to personal and career success. And that's what I think everybody should always be aiming for every day of their lives, improving that ability to communicate.
Yeah, I would like to ask you this question, because if you look back 14 months ago, pre-COVID, we will be having our Toastmaster conference in a huge hall, and you will have to travel and be doing so many things. But now we have this virtual meetings going on. Would you like to share with us the pros and cons? Because I don't want to ask you right now, like, do you prefer the virtual meeting or the in-person meeting? But could you just highlight the pros and cons of the virtual meeting? Because I have mine, but after you've shared yours or your thoughts about having these virtual meetings, then I will probably share mine too. But just share with us what you think are the pros and cons of having virtual meetings, and why how it's been advantageous, most likely maybe in the long run, or what you think in general about virtual meetings?
Well, I'd say virtual meetings were an excellent response to what the COVID pandemic had put us into the situation. And it has so many advantages. For one, the efficiency, it allows for wider connection. Without the pandemic, I wouldn't have been able to visit Toast of the Bronx easily without having to maybe file in, get a visa, leave Lagos, take a plane to land in New York and all of that. But with the virtual meetings, I'm able to connect easier to meetings, many Toastmasters meetings from across the world. So that has really improved interconnectivity of Toastmasters units, the most important part of Toastmasters, which is the clubs. Also, virtual meetings are very efficient. It's easier for people to join Toastmasters meetings. Just like the first thing I've said, you do not have to travel across town to a particular venue. You can join from your location. And the cons are, speaking, the art of presentation goes beyond just our busts, which is what is most often visible on a virtual platform from this point all the way to the head. As against in physical meetings, where the whole body of the speaker can be observed and the speaker can move into the audience and have all that leeway to influence, because in speaking and influencing, of course, the words that we convey our messages with are a lesser percentage of the whole stimulus that actually influences our audience. So that's where some of the limitation is. And then full participation, sometimes we can't always get it with virtual meetings because some people can turn off some functions like their video and microphone and maybe get halfway into some other activity while a meeting is ongoing. That's something that would not happen in a physical meeting. But then, would I say one meeting is preferred or better than the other? I don't think so. I think the physical meeting has its pros, the virtual meeting has its cons. So if I would leave a personal opinion, I would say maybe even post-COVID, when everybody can still come back together safely, maybe we should, or most Toastmasters clubs should think about or consider having hybrid meetings where the virtual meetings are considered and physical meetings are also considered. That would be the best aspect.
Fantastic. I also really buy into the hybrid meeting, because without the virtual meetings, imagine how much, how many country boundaries you have to cross over. Imagine, like, you could just be in front of your PC and attend meetings in multiple countries. That's just the beauty of the virtual meetings. I remember when we were transitioning into the virtual meeting thing, I initially didn't like it, but now over time, I'm beginning to realize I'm covering even a wider outreach. Because sometimes I attend some meetings and I'll be like, I would have had to maybe drive 2 hours or maybe take a flight or to have done this thing, but I just had this meeting. So for me, the virtual thing is becoming a thing. I'm really making the best use of it now, to the point that I'm thinking of, man, if we go back to normal, this will become crazy. So I think the best thing is to have the hybrid. Even though it's back, people should still consider, or clubs should still consider, even though we're back in person, we should still have our cameras, we should still have our connection, we should still have this link whereby people could still join virtually from wherever it is that they were joining from, even before everything everything came back to normal. So Yeah, any final word? Because yeah, this is finally coming to an end. Any final parting words? What you want us to look forward to, what you want the audience to look forward to, or any word of advice for the audience out there?
Well, I had said what I want people out there to look forward to. I'd share the word in the quote by Paul J. Mayer on aiming at constant daily improvement of communication, because that human connection is the key to personal and career success. I'll just end with what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to joining everybody else, all the guests that will be there, and even the Toastmasters friends that I have in TOB, Grace, Jasmine, Filena, Dapo, and the rest of the people, including Sandra, to have a wonderful time come the 29th of May.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And if people want to reach out to you, how do they reach out to you? How can they reach out to you?
I am Kuby Uyanga on social media. So, and that's cuts across Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. Kuby Uyanga.
And finally,
okay.
Finally, what impact would you like to have in the world? When people hear the name Kuby Uyanga, what image or what idea do you want them to have in their mind, or what image do you want to come to their mind?
Well, when my time here is done, I have moved on to another plane. I like people to remember me as someone who was always able to listen and always willing to help. I like people to remember me that way.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Kuby Uyanga is going to be the guest speaker at the next TOB 19th anniversary, coming up on the 19th of May, 2021. Make sure you all tune in. The location and the link to the event will be shared in the description section. Click on it, book your register for the event so that you get the notification as soon as the event goes live. And until next time, take care, everyone, and always remember to be your best self. Thanks, Kuby.